analysis and the stories shaping our society. Join lawyer Shilon and engineer Mengat every Sunday at 8 p.m. Sierra Leone time, streaming live on all VOS social media platforms. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay connected with VOS.
Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, anywhere when I didn't at the wall. In particular, to people in Australia, good evening. This na VOS television. This na Mohammed Shilon from the great state of North Carolina, USA. With my co-host, Mr. Victor Mengot from Surrey, England. This show they come from Tona from North Carolina, Surrey, England, and Canada, where we produce a day. So today, we could take a slightly different way of introducing the topic, in my view. The main expert on what we're going to be talking about today, because there's this thing about this constitutional amendment, now this show, for all practical purposes, now Mr. Victor Mengot. My role, as I've always felt, now it's like where the carpenter does design something. So that me, I would try to get a little sandpaper for which I'm to make it look smooth. But I end up doing most of the work. So Mr. Mengot is going to introduce the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So we'll get quite a bit of it. I'm afraid we may not be able to cover everything, but we'll try to do the best we can. So let me go straight to the platform and with sources of coverage and all of that. We get various sources. They cover as with the broadcast. Let me start off with the main telephone number first, one at the WhatsApp number. Now that one most people in the call at. So that number then +1 343 997 5828. 1 343 997 5828. Anywhere you're in the world, unless the country where you call from. Now this show, live show, you can call in, you can send written comments, you can call in and hold this line while the given so and present your idea or your suggestion. So now 343 997 5828. All right. We also get a local radio station in Freetown. It does not cover the entire Western area, but it covers some part of Freetown. The radio station is 91.9 FM. So in case you know sit down before a laptop or a desktop for listening to presentation, that you are interested in keeping up with you want for call our radio station there, you might be able to reach And if you have to reach on 91.9 FM, but forget that FM station there, you get for download the VOS network app. And download the app, you get for going to the Google Play Store, or you go to the Apple App Store for download the VOS app. If you do that, you will be able to get the discussion we will carry out at the program. So in addition to that, we get X, formerly be Twitter, where the carry we get Facebook, where the carry we get YouTube, where the carry we, and of course for YouTube and VOS radio and Facebook, you can just go to vostelevision.com, vostelevision.com for the TV website, or vosradio.com for the radio, or Facebook, VOS Television, and YouTube, VOS Television, you could be able to reach me. We also get what you call Twitch TV, where you go on VOS television for reach way. And as I said earlier, the app, the VOS app for you for reach win at the radio station or for your win at the radio station, you get for download the app. When you download the app, you're going to be able to get way. Now 91.9 FM. Now, last but not least, we get what you call the VOS Diaspora Helping Hands, a non-profit organization where it does raise money for some sort of scholarship for picking away. We not get the financial wherewithal or the financial ability for continue going to school, even if not to finish school, for just go some distance in school. And then parents do not get the money, so they're not able, the parents do not get job, or they get very low income with no extra left over for them for participate or for try to put back equipment, supplies, such as books, pens, and other things then. And books then can involve textbook and notebooks and all of that, and papers. So with that said, let me pass over to my co-host. We'll go tell you what's in about today's. Well, I can touch on today's topic. Today's topic is Sierra Leone constitutional showdown. What has passed? What comes next? What could change forever? The general heading down there, but the subheadings will be taken care of by Mr. Mengot. With that said, to you, Mr. Mengot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Shillon. Famulem in Akusha, Usa in a day. We know say we were in England now. Na the time na 9:30. Na salon na 8:30. In a way, the America Eastern Standard Time will be 4:30. Today, what we want to talk about, we want taking her through this journey. And we get this very important thing where they take place in the country. When the constitutional amendment bill will go through parliament. They call it constitutional amendment bill 2025. Why they call it 2025? Because that's the time where they in draft them. And at the time it begin in journey for become law. And I'll get for telling her how that journey they come. Now so we'll get for taking her. So the first part, we go look at why this review. What thing not happen before we do the review. It's very important. Then we go taking her through what we call parliamentary rules and procedures. Why is that important? Now for now we fumble they know waiting they happen. Right? Whose role the speaker they play? Whose role the leader of the opposition they play? Whose role the leader of government they play? Whose role the clerk they play? And how then they take them through this discussion? Because some of them terms are technical. We have to make it simple for them to understand them. So we have to talk about parliament, their rules. And we start from what they been do last Tuesday, because they may not start. We will explain what they do last Tuesday. Then we will go back now to say, okay, who say we come out? What I mean, who say we come out? How this year we don't go through waiting now the legal steps were defined in the Constitution. And more importantly, that debate will be get on Tuesday. We take 14 hours marathon. And after that marathon debate, how the speaker rules say we forgo the next stage. One say it consistent with both waiting in at the Constitution and waiting in at the parliamentary standing order. Then tomorrow, the parliamentarians and they go back in the parliament for the committee stage. We will explain to you now what in that committee stage they mean and what in for expect. Because tomorrow night, the ding-dong battle will come. Because during this debate, and some of the interview, Mary say members of the two party them, we don't get their own meeting. They may not agree. Waiting for can discuss. But during the debate, we begin to see accusations and counter accusations. Would I not stick to the agreement? And also, would I be responsible for some of them within the bill? So now the introduction that Mr. Sheila, you want to say anything or continue?
Yeah, I think continue with respect to the subtopics them as whether in sequential order or out of order. It doesn't matter.
Well, we will go in sequential order. Now, let's take the journey. We get constitution na salon from the 10 way we come under with my rule. And even before. Because we get this later constitution before independence. When I pave way for independence, we get the legislative council, when I done they look after the law, the executive council, when I end the work on behalf of the king or queen as it may be, for rule the country because we're in a colonized state. They will get the 1961 independent constitution. We say, well, when we get independent, what's in the responsibility of we, and what's in the responsibility of we colonial masters, because at that time the queen was still the head. They will move from that. We move to a republic, which means we're not doing that queen anymore. So we get another new constitution. We then end up in the 19th Republican Constitution. Yeah. Then we get the one-party constitution, where will be abolished multi-party, will be take. Then finally, this one will they take now. Now the 1991 constitution. I understand the longest test of time. And how we get a 1991 constitution there? Now because people will not be one party again. So when they move that, we get that one party constitution, some of the people that have in the SLPP, they may ask for either transfer go to APC or they no longer become parliamentarians. They all transfer. So that one party constitution is a mixture of APC.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now APC, there was only one man standing. One man waving Changaes.
Yeah.
We been refused. Yes. Then the legendary Manapaka.
Manapaka, yeah.
So that position they would run the penalty. Then get the war. Overthrow President Momo. After the constitution in 1991, it been ready for go election 92, now get military rule. And I cannot say we'll get military rule. There could be suspension of the constitution. Because Sojaman, the way they rule, they not a rule with constitution, they rule what they call decree. Now make so when NPRC been there, you get the Supreme Council, we get chairman of the council, we at that time we get council member with and all the military people then we get some other civilians that we've been joining them because like we get Mr. John Benjamin, who was like a chief minister. We get other civilian people that we get ministerial posts. Now, when we get the peace accord after the war, where President Kaba went with the rebel them, put a Sanko. Now we get the Lomé peace accord. That Lomé peace accord is section 10 of the accord say, Salon for go and review with 1991 constitution. And that's they say for renew the entire constitution, not for do an AFAF like what will they do so now. So we explain telling her why they choose for do an AFAF now. So when President Kaba make that promise there, it gets one of we legendary lawyer them, Dr. Peter Tucker, for do a constitutional review in 2008. Then we know say, then consider them, but turn not been there until we change government we change government because APC government come 2007, Peter Tucker report na 2008, then 2012 when our President Ernest Cowan in second term, now he make a commitment say he go do an overall review. He appoints Justice Cowan. When he appoint Justice Cowan, right, that Cowan Commission of Inquiry there, now the most detailed because the people that will be actually then we look at that constitution there, or not the one that will submit paper, we will get over 150 people left. So it was a wide constitution, then go all around the country, then look at constitution in another country, so we get the Cowan report. Then after the Cowan report, the APC, as usual, gets the government response where we can call white paper. With that white paper there, 9 then gazettes. Then in the APC, their own gazette of the white paper, government white paper, way down in 1991, October 2017. Because now then they bring this Boku argument in the parliament. Because something in the way the government be accept, some criminal in the way the government not be accept. So what can happen, unfortunately, we can't get election in 2018. Right? 2018, we'll get a change of government. President Bio say, well, he go finish that process there. But himself, look at the constitution in piecemeal, so we'll get your own response. We will get the constitutional amendment, we then do the review, then himself get their own white paper, when at 2022. And part of that white paper there, one of the things they're waiting at that constitution, the way President Bio tried to do, we recommend during the TRC and the Cowan report, now the abolition of the death penalty. So some of them things they be happen. So now we get the 2023 election, we get controversy. And that controversy there, SLPP and APC bin get draw. APC say they not go parliament because we talk about aggregated and disaggregated results. So now that lead to where we can get the people that what they call moral guarantors. Although me not like for calling that name there, because moral and they can't teach you morality. But anyway, that's the name where they call them. Now they can put them two parties together. They can get this tripartite report. We get 80 recommendations. And then 80 recommendations there, some of them deal with the constitutional amendment. Then some of them deal with other existing law. What's in the existing law then they? Now the Public Elections Act, the Political Parties Act, the Political Parties Regulation and Registration Commission Act, the Independent Media Commission Act, then the Act for a New Police Act. So now I tell family, not even after we don't do this constitutional review, you get them boku lawyer. We didn't get for change because they get hearing on the constitution. So we ask now, say, then go do a length before the next election. So that's the background to this constitutional review. This review we'll get to now. The document where they before Parliament, it had 21 clauses them. What's in a clause? Now key issues them where they want change. Like, how you go qualify for be president? How you go win votes? Whether as a member of parliament or as a president. How you go challenge results we not agree for, we then call election petition. Right? How we waiting at the diaspora, we they not call to see, they make provision say, well, they may not give a chance for votes, but now they're selling a good chance, let us be MP. Because the constitution as it stands, not agree with that power there. But there was also a court case on that. A Supreme Court case. So far, Nado don't reach now. So let's stop here, let's see if my colleague wants to say anything what this background I don't give. Before we can now to the serious part, where when you get constitutional review, waiting at the power where Parliament gets for deal with them, you get the constitution which he say, then how the parliamentarians therefore behave for take this constitutional review process. And this relates more to what they may go do on Tuesday. So over to you, sir.
All right, okay. The only thing I will just want to ask, they will just start. Well, I want to know, sir, where they start, whether would they start from, whose side they end up this past Friday, or
No, it was Tuesday.
This past Tuesday, whose side they end up, or last week, or are we going to start right from, to go, number one, the issue, one edition, why is it a misnomer for calling the 2025 Act instead of 26? Why is this still being called the 25 when the law is not even passed yet?
No, but it says, this is what I've always said, because we lack for put people in through. And then at the citation, it is the 2025 Constitutional Amendment Bill.
Yeah, okay, but where the bill has not been passed, we're into 2026. If that's the only reason,
okay, I will explain that.
I'm just
the way all they write, the way all they do, we law them, which is unique to Salon. Because why it be 2025 now? Because now 2025 is start. Then draft on 2025, and according to how you they amend a bill, especially this one, a constitutional amendment bill, the first thing where the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to do, now for publishing a gazette. What's in a gazette? A gazette, now that government publication, we get everything for do with government business. You even talk about devolved legislation. Like if they give power to minister, we want to exercise them, we don't need parliamentary approval, it go get for gazette, it go get for give gazette notice. Right? So the requirement say you for put out first at the gazette, the first gazette, but then they be happen in December 2025. Then 9 days after, you gazette them the second term, we also have been December 2025. Now make sure the bill na December 2025. Now the dates down the way start in process. But when you look at the citation, it says a bill entitled the Constitution of Sierra Leone. What do I mean by citation? Now, waiting and they say this bill they about. Waiting do then they bring and come. But it say the Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendment, a bill entitled the Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendment Act 2025. I've always questioned that because we use the word the act. An act is something which has got assent. But then at the only way they do it. It says an amendment act. Then it puts them back, say being an act to amend the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, which is Act number 6, and provide for other related matters. So that is why you get that 2 dates and day. And it can be a bit confusing because there's a distinct difference between an act and a bill. What you get now, Lord, just stick to that. Now a bill we get for go through Parliament, for become law. So let's start the process. USA will be there, and USA will go now. Because as I said earlier on, the bill, they don't gazette them as required by law under the Constitution. Then at Section 108, now talk about constitutional amendment. It said a bill for an act of parliament under this section shall not be passed by parliament unless before the first reading of the bill, the text of the bill is published in at least 2 issues of the Gazette. That has been done. Then do that in December, right? And it then 9 days apart. Then after that, because this bill very, 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 very important, even though it not say that in the Constitution, because in the Constitution it say where you don't gazette them, you declare and go before Parliament. Then at the Attorney General they go present and to Parliament, say this is not the bill where government one come for change the law. Now when they use the technical term, say then go lay the bill in Parliament. What it means, you go present and to the clerk of Parliament, because I'm head of administration. Say now this now the government one do, now the bill is. But we get what we call parliamentary standing orders. Waiting at the parliamentary standing orders. Now the rules and procedures of Parliament. So down there, it covered by Section 94 of the Constitution, we say, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, Parliament may regulate its own procedure and may in particular make, amend, and revoke the standing order for the orderly conduct of its own proceedings. The standing order, now like what you will call in business, you know, standard operating practice. Waiting them for do, for make sure say then deal with how people and they take bill go Parliament, waiting at the responsibility of the Speaker, waiting at the responsibility of the clerk, how they amend the bill, how members therefore behave in the Parliament, the immunity where they give members then where in the debate. So you cannot charge them for anything where they say. Also, that regulation they also say, let make people understand. 94.2 say, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this Constitution, other law contain, order or direction of a Parliament or any of its committees, because you get committee or speaker, relating to the rules of procedure, when I end at the standing order. So the application or interpretation of such rules or any acts done purporting to be done by Parliament and the Speaker under any rules shall not be inquired into by any court. So in other words, what they say, then they show principles of what we call separation of power. What in Parliament they do, how then they do their work, whose decision the Speaker they make, you cannot challenge it in court. You can only go to court for interpretation, a judicial review, now we call that, of laws and processes where Parliament make. So you want, let's stop there, I'll continue how they go now.
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, now, they may not put that bill, they go Parliament. But when the bill go Parliament, that was earlier the year, Parliament gets what they call the first stage, then they under the parliamentary standing order, what they call pre-legislative stage. What's in a pre-leg? Now before legislation, before it go through the process of the scrutiny for look what the bill say, I go affect existing law, I go accept people them, I go protect your rights. So when they get a pre-legislation day, the Attorney General, when they lead the government in passage of this bill, being called people there, members of Parliament other people then we get vested interests, political party representative, civil society organizations. They go do a presentation saying that this government want to do, this is not the law we want change. This is why we want change the law. So beaucoup people then begin get doubt, say, oh, but they not tell me good though, because we don't understand what they do. Because some of them law now put it go affect we. Controversial laws, especially one way controversial. Now this business of whether we will go first past the post or we go through proportional representation. Who still for all election? How you for do petition? Waiting at the role of the Chief Justice where they announce results. So they say, let people then go put position paper. I'll go explain that. What do they mean by position paper? The board they waiting at people in belly. What do they not clear about? Let them go put them in writing, then send and go to the clerk for let them consider as part of the review of this bill. Do you want to come in, sir, on the privilege, or do you want me to continue?
Continue.
Okay. Now, after the privilege, the next stage, now then called the first reading. Waiting at the first reading. The first reading, now where the speaker, the man where they in charge of government side, the Attorney General, a Minister of Justice, go before Parliament and say, and move a motion, say, now the introductory stage. It go back to what you have been saying, where they in the bill. And I go make a read and back for fumble them. Waiting, it go talk say, in the can put this bill before Parliament for amend the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act number 6 of 1991, and for any other related matters. Waiting at the related matters then. Now the other law that we go affected by this amendment. I will repeat them. Then law and then at the Public Elections Act, the Political Parties Act, the Political Parties Regulation and Registration Committee Act, and the the Independent Media Commission Act. So now that's then at the bill. So all the Attorney General and Minister of Justice they do. Now for say, I don't bring this paper before you now. Now this enough for consider. This now the reason why they bring them. Then they go move a motion, say let the bill pass that stage, because at that stage, they're not a debate. They're not the first reading. So they're not the debate. Do you want to come in, sir?
Now, I was going to ask, so in that sense, so far, so good, have they followed their own parliamentary procedures, or have they skipped
They follow the parliamentary procedure, but normally, when they do the first reading, they never tell we whose turn the second reading will take place. Either the next day or a date to be named. But as I've been telling her, before them, because they may ask people them for go do them position paper here. Parliament taking time for come back to the second reading. And during that 10 day back again, we been get drawn a Parliament. Even though you get a clause in this bill which show how they appoint the electoral commissioner, the president will go ahead and use the old system na the constitution, right? We say he can consult people then, he appoint parliamentary approval. That is how they may appoint Mr. Edmund Alpha. So the opposition not been greed and question the process day. Waiting and say, they not say what the president do is illegal. Then say, why the president they hurry for appoint Edmund Alpha, we already then get clause in the constitution, what we'll talk about later, instead of a big controversy, we show how you for appoint Edmund Alpha. So the APC they may get for common parliament. We then come on a parliament. So at that time, there was no way parliament before go ahead with this constitutional review. And during that period, we been getting moral grounds that we can talk to two sides them and say them for go back in the parliament. So now make so from when they do the first reading, now make sure that now we they do the second reading. Anymore?
So watching that, yes. So the second reading now, watching at the process, watching at the procedure. My thing, as I've always mentioned to you, was to make sure that laws that will pass are passed in accordance with requirements, either statutory requirements or parliamentary rules, but not to make the rules as they go along. So we on dependence or dependency on you. Now for me on concern, therefore make sure say that requirements or rules are followed in arriving at an act that all T's are crossed, all I's are dotted. And so since you are the expert in this parliamentary procedure, Sierra Leone parliamentary procedure per se, and for example, I don't know if we've reached that point there, but there was a point when you say, when it comes to the issue of this issue of debate, the amount of time or the limitation.
We'll come to that. Let's take it stage by stage. You ask me a question.
All right.
Waiting at the second reading, waiting to happen. During the second reading, waiting to happen on Tuesday, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, they come before Parliament because the Speaker would not put a notice out within at the other paper, when like the agenda, say all MP them for present on that Tuesday day, because then they can consider the bill. Then when they start, the Speaker, they call the Attorney General for let he introduce the bill, let he give a background as to the government thinking behind the bill, government policy, and the principles of the bill. Then when the Attorney General don't do that, they don't explain to people them, and then they self now be forget to tell people that how they draft the bill, whether them you don't consult, and waiting at the results of them consultation they whose advice you don't get, he go say all that. Then he go now move a motion. Waiting at the motion the way they move. He go ask the speaker and permission for let them start the second reading when I in the debates of that building. So last stop here, I'll ask the now that night they happen Tuesday. Where the second reading and that thing they begin debater now. And when they debate them, they get for follow parliamentary rules and procedures. So the question where I ask, if you want to take you through each one of them, I can go ahead of that.
Yeah, now they will be at your discretion, but I'm more particular with respect to if there was any abnormality.
Let me start with that, right? Because there were some things in there. Because remember, I've been not telling us say the Speaker, according to Section 94 of the Constitution, right, we say Parliament can make their own rules, them amend their own rules and stand in order. But in doing that, not all like blanket power, it get for be objective. It get for be within the principles of fairness and transparency. And the question is, was there fairness? Was there transparency? That is what we can look at now. So let's start with, first, we don't talk about that. When a section 108, we don't talk about 108, But then when it comes to parliamentary rules and procedure, when they don't present the bill, during the debate, you get the rules of the debate. Waiting for do the do's and don'ts. So we will start now with the first one. When they can call it SO 35. What does SO mean? Standing Order 35. And I go make let people know what they mean. Because we take them one by one. Because it's very important for this question we ask. Yeah? What in SO 35 say? SO 35, now our members then for behave during debate. Because you know, see a heightened tension. You know, all man they try for score political points. I remember say before the debate, some people and they were them interview, then say then two people here them not go into some secret meeting where they take oath of secrecy. That day alone, I feel to say again, the bill not for two sides of the party no more, not for the entire country. So why then two for go sit down? It's like say me go look at like match fixing. That is my own interpretation, right? And not to me say it come out plainly. So now go to standing order number 35. The behavior of members of parliament where they know the talk, because they may get for call them one where they start the debate after the Attorney General don't talk done. The first person will talk on behalf of the ruling party, now Honorable Mary Conte. And Mary Conte, apart from being an MP, is also the chairman of the legislative committee, when one of the statutory committee of parliament, when I look at anything for do changes in law. My expectation was that if you can explain to me, if they may not consider, remember we have been talking about the position paper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Then position paper, from when they publish them, when people they submit them, this is where I feel there's a fault. It asks about procedures. Right?
Yeah.
They should have sent them position paper then they to MPs. Not only that, they may forever make it available to the public. Because now they represent the public views. So people can go use them, understand them, for follow, whether the MPs them, they talk about what the people they want. Because we get position paper from ILRAS, that Institute for Law and Justice, we get from the Bar Association, we get from civil society organization, you get from Labour Congress, you get from one political party, when a unity party. So maybe they expect, say, sometimes if they don't make, they don't look at them, then the legislative committee, even if you don't get time for deliberation, if we can give a summary of what people then say, because a very important part. I feel say that in a one-two-way missing, lack of information. So Mary Conte come and start the debates. Begin talk about waiting at their own government preference. But when they do that debate day, we see say members of parliament them, for me, they may get cross talk, you know, then they repeat people, and that's against parliamentary procedures. And now I read waiting at the behavior of members of parliament, what you expect of them, with somebody they talk. It say one, during a sitting, all members shall enter or leave the house with decorum. In other words, what they mean, where they can inside, where they go out, you get for they quietly. We not for yeah. The next thing, members shall not cross the floor of the house unnecessarily, not speak from a place allotted to another member. You know, so when they sit down, the opposition on the one side, the government MPs on the one side. So they're not for the worker up and down, for confused. Next, another important one. They're not for read book, newspaper, letter, or other documents when debates done. And also see like with the members, there are times that the background where they're talking on their phone.
All right.
Yeah? That is on procedural. The speaker therefore called them to order. They also said during a sitting, all members shall be silent or shall confer only in undertones. Members should not make unnecessary interruptions while any member is speaking. But then we hear again where even in Parliament, part of the debates where people they sing. One time in there when they sing the APC their own victory song, right? That is against parliamentary decorum. The SLPP said one. So at the end, the two sides they tell like say they get singing competition. So for me, that was a turn off, right? So you want comment, or I'll go the next one.
I just, if I may interrupt you, there is a comment which maybe you might want to address along the way. The person say, Mr. Mengot and Mr. Shillon, why to date the National Unity Agreement is not tabled and ratified in Parliament? If you get an understanding of the question.
I get an understanding of the question. Yeah, okay. I get them. I'll come back. In fact, myself, look at like say, nothing way on procedural, and I'll tell you why. Because if you remember where the moral guarantors them in come, they may get an 8-point communique. And one of the recommendations was that they for carry this agreement for national unity to Parliament, which means Parliament for debate them and ratify them. But the agreement for national unity, now the Congress document, he also born Pekin when at the Tripartite Committee report, which is a recommendation. Then they say, I don't get any record of whether they not put in a parliament, whether they go say table them or they not give parliament, say parliament in a make them and ratify them because a part of an agreement. Then plus the communique. So what thing and do, which are for me is on procedural, before this constitutional review, we see say they not already act on one of the recommendations of the tripartite report. When a recommendation 20 we say, then forget an ad hoc committee. That committee they were for be headed by the opposition. When I for review, even this parliamentary process is the way that they do in terms of constitutional review, and then law the way that they do, and also how the electoral commission they prepare for the next election. So you don't form the committee, but then the report, we get a recommendation, it has not been in the committee, in the parliament. I will urge members, as a matter of urgency, for let them spend time, put the report in a parliament, and let parliament ratify them. That's my response to that person in question.
If I may also ask, these position papers that were requested or announced, some of which have submitted, I get two questions, because the position paper, I should define them to we and to the audience. Now, for people for state their position, be it an objection or statement in support of what is being proposed. Correct, sir?
You are definitely correct.
All right. So now, the procedure that if you can explain it to we, or if it's non-existent, then I wonder why. And if it's not existent, wouldn't that be in violation of some clause of the Constitution with respect to due process? And that is, number one, if you can tell we, how was the announcement made to the public with respect to the reception or the acceptance of opinions or proposals? And if so, And not only that, but then when position papers were sent, did they have a process by which people were told by what means would these position papers be delivered or sent? But when I say what means, whether it could be by email, whether it could be by postage mail, whether it could be by text, whether it could be by so many modern ways of communicating. And to whom would these position papers be sent? If they go in a parliament, is it supposed to be? I'm talking about the address, which are the requirements. And if they go in a parliament, to whom should that position paper be addressed? And if all of that is done, will the position papers of everyone or group or entity we send position papers, shouldn't that be part of the overall record of the process that they are going through now? I don't know if I make my question clear.
Okay. Let's answer your question in twofold. The announcement for position paper was made during the pre-leg.
How did they do it? To get to the public. I'm talking about position papers for the public. So
it was for the public.
Okay, the pre-leg parliamentary procedure.
It was announced through the pre-leg. But later on, if you remember, they may ask for people for even contact the MPs right? So they can give opinion. So sometimes the MPs then go able to debate, or people that belong to other, which I will call public interest groups, like civil society and all them people. And they, like if you're not a lawyer, you want your opinion, be part of the bar association, right? All that will happen. But Parliament begin notice later on saying, if you want to send your position paper, then put out, say you can send it to the clerk by email, then the clerk be also get in number. Now the clerk you send it to. We send it to the clerk name for record them. But ideally, this is a thing where they may for even go one more step further, either put a notice in a newspaper, you can forget more than one source, or announce in a radio or even a TV program. Yeah. So you use as wide a medium as possible, telling people say, this is what a position paper should be about, the format way for send them, who say for send them, then the deadline for submitting it. I think that for me is where I'll be a minus. But when it comes to consideration of them position paper, I go deal with that later on because there's still time.
Okay. Yeah, that answers my question. I just want to make sure genuine attempts are being made to reach the people, not to just go through the motion for say, okay, announcements in a privilege setting in Parliament was made. We're not going to reach the public in general because there are so many means now by which the public can be made informed of certain steps Parliament want to take. We just want to make sure, say, otherwise, what will happen, the less information they give the public, the more opportunity they have to do things undercover. Because as is usually the case, because very few information they filter through the public before the public know what's about to happen. Just like this constitutional amendment now. It's only now people are becoming aware of such a thing and coming up, and what is involved, people don't even know generally. And it's going to impact generations for a long time. So these are some of the things, because we give for all Parliament them foot to the fire in terms of made and take the country, the people more seriously than they have been taking things for granted and just pass laws, as they feel and when they feel. That's all. That's why I'm asking all these questions. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
still to go with parliamentary procedures, the debate. Now the debate today now. So the first person, as I tell you, a debate on behalf of the government. Now, Honorable Mary Conte, when an MP where they represent a constituency in the Western region, right? He spoke for 1 hour. Then that was followed by Honorable Daniel Koroma, where Naina number 2 to the leader of the minority leader, when Abdul Kagbo, where you can call her either minority leader or leader of the opposition. And by the way, like tell members and say, some of this thing where they talk on my observation, not to hearsay, because I was glued to the TV for 14 good hours, and I'll come to that. So I watch and listen to every part of the debate, and I try for relating to my experience working in the mother of all parliaments, when at the British House of Commons and the British House of Lords. Yeah? So, standing order number 38 was another major concern. When at the time limit for speeches. Why you they get time limits? Now, because you want to give equal opportunity for people and for express them views, then at the MP them. You know, and give undue advantage to one side. Now, we will say we get 3 groups of people in a parliament. We get the APC, when at the opposition. We get the SLPP, when at the government bench as they call her. We get the paramount chief, where they represent the traditional rulers. Then. But now, Section 38 of the standing order, it says no member shall be entitled to address the House or a committee of the whole House for more than 30 minutes on any subject. That's their rule.
Okay, that's their rule. So do I understand you? I'm sorry for the interruption. And it says shall, correct?
Yeah.
Yet the first member
Absolutely
go
correct.
for the first member go for more than 30 minutes, right? Or at least 30 minutes.
At least an hour. The second member take almost 3 hours.
Okay. So which means they themselves are not even complying and obeying with the rules of parliament as they are proceeding. So I just wonder if that is deliberate or
no.
Well,
you not go blame the member then because
you get a speaker
in parliament. Now the speaker now they make the rules, right?
No, but the rules are already there. Okay, but so the rules are already in existence.
No, but also then give the speaker power for vary the rules, as long as it's not unconstitutional. If it's procedural,
okay,
right? Okay, somebody raised the speaker in attention to that. Now that's how I'm going to now. If control room can put waiting at the speaker in response, then I will explain that now. That now we then say this, yeah. So if you see Mr. Shillon, you can read that for me. Waiting, he say yonder, the quote.
You say, in the interest of fairness, I will allow members of parliament to debate until 7 p.m.
Okay, hold on there.
That's what's in.
So, when you consider, say, there are about 149 members of parliament, not to all man go talk, but you want to get as wide a representation as possible. You want the woman a chance for talk. You want give equal chance to the opposition and the one. If you say you know limits, not just like where I use my transport analogy. Like where you go get a highway, you say you allow everybody for drive at your own speed. What's in that go cause? You go cause accidents.
Precisely.
Yeah. So when the speaker say, hold on. When the speaker say at 7 o'clock, he go stop the debate, which means at 7 o'clock, he know fully well say, they don't get enough people that will go debate. So if you be not rule say 7 o'clock, it is stop the debate, that means they should postpone or amend. Somebody will move a motion of amendment at 7 o'clock for let them come back the next day, fresh. Because remember, they already do 7 hours. But then the speaker, again, in your statement we make, it go beyond that. Because it allow the bill debate for go another 7 hours. So it's 14 hours and take, which I think it make MP them be not fatigued, then it not give good substance to the debate. Because in that length of time where people and they talk, some people and them in they talk things and way, sometimes they even outside the key issues them na the debate. Where in parliamentary terms, now we call filibustering. Now big word. What in filibustering mean? It means that people and they talk for make unnecessary delay.
For kill time.
You understand? Then they waste time. So when you don't allow people them for day for 14 hours, they will come to that. They will come to the end how the speaker making ruling, then I will explain that. But we don't talk about, let we also ask for let the control room play, because one of the key people in that debate today, now the leader of the opposition, who we call minority leader. So we can ask the control room, let play waiting Mr. Abdul will say, then we can analyze that video because this is an evidence-based broadcast. So control room, if you can play with
Mr. Speaker, we are looking for due process. You've done your level best. There is no evidence of you abrogating parliamentary procedures. There is no evidence since you became the Speaker of this House. And we pray and hope that you maintain the same. I believe in you. I believe in your integrity. I believe in your knowledge as a legal person. I want to thank everybody who has participated in this very debate. And I want to assure you that we'll comport ourselves during this voting. And we want a transparent voting process. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker.
See, this now waiting the leader of opposition been said. Right? We're in the finish in roundup. Because it shows much confidence in the speaker. He say, he don't follow due process. But whether that is the case, as I say, the jury is out. But before I go to how the speaker making decision, and a key issue will come up, right? Now the issue of how you move from the second reading to the third reading. We're very important. So, but also, let's consider Standing Order 42. Because it will get in context of what we can talk now. Standing Order 42, now the decision of the speaker. He said the speaker decision is final. Yeah.
Mr. Mengot, can you hold tight? May I interrupt you? They say, because I like for us to be able to deal with some of the issues being raised by our listeners them as we go along, because you may not have time to come back and address them. So there is a statement there or a comment sent in by one of a member of the audience who say, Mr. Mengot, what is your take on the exchange between Honorable Uyata Songa and the other Honorable Aminata Sise on the use of British passports. Of course, I don't think you've addressed this. When traveling, do you think the two SIM is genuine? Well, I don't know if that's relevant to what you're talking about now, but I can repeat the question. What is your take on?
No, I don't hear you the question. But again, I'm glad the way this person asked this question, right? Because as I say, I watched the debate. For the people that will not watch the debate, let know who they talk. Honorable Wiyata Songa, right, is an MP for Kailaun. And when she was debating, she claimed and she confirmed that history has been made in her case because in the first female MP, we actually represent a constituency when I in Papana been the MP, Kalon. And he said for do that.
Okay, Michael Kalon?
Not Michael
which
Kalon. I think it's 80
Okay.
Kalon.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
He said for do that, he mean get for make a sacrifice. Waiting on that sacrifice. He been on England, he don't work. And at the time, because we been get that issue of that to SIM, he said he mean get for give up in British nationality so that he can qualify for contest as an MP. Because this is one of the issues in the bill. But the interesting thing, there was an other APC MP, I think it's Aminata Sise or so from Putloko, who she was accusing of retaining a British citizenship and still becoming an MP. So there was a sort of a cross exchange, which comes back to what you have been saying in terms of how people have behave during Parliament. So our discussion was based on whether, because some people, and they say, again, there are still some members of Parliament who did not give up their second passport. That's a talk for another day. So now the answer to that, Andy.
Okay, because that was the question. What is your take? The question was, what was your take? But you can save it for another day.
That's based on my observation, and it's on record. If anybody want to challenge me on that, they could go back to the record. There's another, somebody is also sent something else. Is it the same?
Yeah, I can read it. No, it's another one. Technical teams from the APC and the government collectively are deeply involved in the fine-tuning these amendments. The APC and the Sierra Leone government, the SLPP, are working together on these amendments. The APC and the Sierra Leone government are working together on these amendments. So does that mean the APC is working with the government and the SLPP is not involved? I don't get the gist of the question or the implication of the question, but that's what this person is saying. There's another thing that says public announcements were aired on radio, TVs, and jingles as we speak on being aired on all media in Sierra Leone. With respect to what? With respect to the procedure as far as the earlier questions that I asked, how was the public informed of trying to send in the position paper? So I don't know whether that's what this comment was in reference to.
Okay, let me comment. Let me comment on this first, right?
Yeah.
With my understanding, this is the reason why we get this broadcast, because some of us, like me, I'm a retired man. I'm very active in social media, and I'm open to correction. So if indeed there were announcements on the radio, on television, as to how people should send in, I'm sure he's referencing the position paper. If that is the case, then kudos to Parliament. It means people were aware. Yes. So if people were aware, now my own issue is Parliament has a website. For somebody like me who is an analyst, we want to come out and now misinform the public. Those position paper should be as a matter of records. And Parliament get website, I should be able to access them. And as I'm talking to you now, even the parliamentary website is not up and running. But if Parliament did that, we always want for say, we will give the Parliament a tick and applaud them for waiting and do. So they went out of their way, forget people for put position paper. But not to for just put position paper no more. They are putting it on behalf of the public. So we were able to know what's in them position paper, and they have to include that as part of the amendment. That is the point I'm making. So somebody else, they make another comment.
Oh yeah, this I think it has in support of what you said earlier. The person says, I'm proud of Parliament airing live coverage on all the constitutional amendment bills set forth. And I would say, even with that, that should be announced ahead of time, that the activities in this process will be aired what days, certain times, between when and when. That's how you do, that's how you comply with due process and inform the public. So, but this person is saying he's proud that Parliament did that because you say you spent about 14 hours listening to the debate. Then someone is saying the due process are being followed live on air for all and sundry. Well, you see, when people say this kind of stuff, it's just, I don't know what people are saying. When you say the due process is being aired live on air, how? Because you see, we're trying to educate the public. This is not a matter of just jumping in defense of, and because what would they say? People should be notified, then for adequate notice. And if you just say, well, all of that had been done or has been done, just let us know, say on such and such a date and such media, such and such radio station, these things were aired. Those are, but don't say, and they announce on the radio without giving us any frame of reference. This is, I think this is just disingenuous to me as far as I'm concerned, because we're not trying to, we don't want anyone to be a defender, because some people just feel they should call and defend. And we really appreciate people to call and enlighten, help, add to the information what we give. So please, if you say things were put out on the radio, tell us, give us some specific instances like whether or not SLBS, public radio, other commercial radios, you know, those things will help quite a bit. So we don't want people to be coming across as just trying to defend and coming up with vague or generalities. That doesn't help. Go ahead, Mr. Mengot.
Okay, let me make a point clear. I'm not saying due process was not followed, right? Following due process is one thing. That's why I wanted to go back to SO 42, Standing Order 42, right? We say, Mr. Speaker in the House and Chairman in any committee shall be responsible for the observation of rules of order in the House and committee respectively, and their decision upon any point of order shall not be open to appeal and shall not be reviewed by the House except upon a substantive motion made. Fine. Now, let me go back to this part where they say glue process are followed. Mr. Shilon, you can come back to me. If, as I said, parliamentary rules say you not for talk for more than 30 minutes, the speaker give in discretion say he not go give people a time limit, but he go finish the debate at 7 o'clock, which means if we go by your own saying, finishing at 7 would mean calling for an amendment motion, because they already did 7 hours. So you want to tell me, say, if fear to people like we where they observe, and the MPs that we've been there, and the other people that go for another 7 hours, 14 hours, is that a justification? He made the rule, but he changed the rule But what is the rationale for that? That is my point I'm making. Mr. Shillon, I don't know what you yourself would say to that.
Well, I just have a little problem because the rule also says shall, no one shall speak for more than 30 minutes. So, and I know shall to be must, not speak for more than 30 minutes. So when the speaker exercised that discretion there, and when I say the parliament had gone, and you know, human beings with attention span, most of us, it's not that long. And this thing go way into the night. I was wondering whether the parliamentarians then get the physical and mental fitness at that point in time to have even continued and these unlimited speeches that they were making in parliament. I don't know. But I'm just commenting. Okay. I'm a believer in rules. If the rules are made to be followed, you just don't set rules for the sake of it and then ignore them. You know, so that's all I'm saying. We have to, because that's what law and order is all about. You can't make laws, then you say, but I get the power. Because I get the power, that law did not apply to me. I can, in my own individual capacity, as president, as speaker, as a judge, I can vary. The law therefore give you that power for let you exercise them reasonably and capably. That's all I'm saying. So I just speak to the one that we feel say, because sometimes people will misunderstand what we're saying. We're trying to educate the public. We're not trying to criticize. So with that in mind, we they say, now, these are the steps they took. And because some of us, where they support today, we end up crying tomorrow if things are not done the right way. Because once you give the power to the government or to the public or to the parliament and then pass this law, you're going to be hard pressed when you become a victim of that law, therefore do anything about it. So we just try for alert people, you know. So we all love not for country, we all not for political party or mine. I don't care for the two main political parties. I've said that all along because they have a history in the books. So, but the country to me is by far, far more important than any political party ever. You know, that's all.
Okay, interesting enough, during the debate, let me make another observation before I come to how it was ended. Because there's procedures for end the second reading. Right. If you remember, another thing we observed, and that was raised by Mr. Kagbo, Abdul Kagbo, when a leader of the minority leader and leader of the opposition. And then now for deal with the contribution of the paramount chiefs in the debate. Paramount chiefs, they represent a significant percentage of the people then. In fact, I would say, these are traditional rulers, right, who look at the people in the farthest corner of the country. Some of these people might not be too vast in which we talk about. So they are the bridge between modernity and actually our native traditions and customs. Don't you find it odd, Mr. Shillon? In a 14-hour debate, we had 12 paramount chiefs in the House. Not one of them stood up to contribute to the debate. Especially since we get that notion, they say paramount chiefs always vote with the government. What do you think about that? For me, I found it strange.
Okay, you said 12, not to 14? Not to 14 paramount chiefs?
There are 14 paramount chiefs, but on the roll call, there were 12 present on the day. 2 were absent.
Okay, 2 were absent. Okay. Of course I do, because you just wonder which and then you roll. And these are some of the anomalies, irregularities that one is pointing out. They're just going through the motions. But whatever law they pass, It's going to affect everybody, even the paramount chiefs and the parliamentarians themselves would take some of them too lightly. You have to think very seriously before you vote. Because once it becomes law, and by my own experience and knowledge, laws in our country are being passed not with the intention for benefit the entire nation, but with the intention of benefiting a few. That has been the practice, or the common practice. So I'm just trying to caution people that they will be aware, because you might become victim of the very law where you pass, where you think, say, you might not be a victim of. That's all it is. So let's take it with some more seriousness. And for those of us where sometimes they get all walked up on thinking that you're trying to criticize a party, how do you know you're even going to be a beneficiary of what you try to protect? I mean, you can be all walked up, then you get a heart attack tomorrow and die. It's not benefited you anything. So let's look beyond ourselves. Let's look beyond our family. Let's look beyond our parties. Let's take our country at heart. And then let me answer. Let me pick up a phone call. Hello, caller. Which name you say to call from?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Kawo.
Hello. Now,
you get me?
It's needed.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want me coming back. I'll be opportune for listening. The debate, the parliamentary debate. I just want to make a small comment to Mr. Margot, or I don't know.
Mr. Mengot?
Mengot. Okay. What is say? Yeah, I believe say when one MP stood up and raised that SOS, he said no member of parliament for debate more than 30 minutes. I remember say what the speaker did. The speaker, because when somebody stand up, they turned down the MP who was speaking. Because we don't speak really more than 30 minutes. So the speaker hang here with the both opposition leader and the leader of government business. So, and the two agree, say, the debate have no time. I think until the speaker can ruling, they say they don't agree, say, let the debate not get no time, and they go talk. Really, but instant, what you know, by 7 o'clock p.m., the debate will end. So, and that's how unlimited time can, but you will observe back as the debate continued. There was a time limit, there was another ruling. The speaker got another ruling for time limit on the debate because for allow more MP for debate. And I don't know about clarify. It was not a ruling of the speaker alone. It was with the majority leader of the House and the APC minority leader.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and for also when you make that point there, because Mr. Binoti say he called the two leaders then and come together, and they all agree say, you not forget time limit, right? Then they cause confusion because what happen, it become uneven. If you not get time limit, not to all man get a power of speech. Some man they will go able to talk for 1 hour. Some man they will go able to talk for 45 minutes, some less. You will notice that. And again, if later on it change, say, it go get time limits. For the caller, I can tell you plainly, if you go back to record, even when in the roundup, it not give the final, because we go say summation, it not give the leader of the opposition any time limit. And also not give the leader of government business any time limit. So in my view, the leader of government business spoke more at a lengthy time than even the leader of the opposition. right? Because even people have been there, if you watch the video, can play, because me believe in record, you go see where people have been, they say, who still will done? So thank you very much for your contribution. And that is my take on that. But then let's come to the end of that second reading. Because waiting.
If I'm, Mr. Mengo, if I may take one more question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where's the call from?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Shilon. How are you, sir?
Fine, fine. I hope you are. Hello? Hello?
Mr. Mengo, they talk right now. I heard this one.
No, I didn't talk. I'm quiet. You go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Now the kind of the call from Maryland. I be want to ask Mr. Mengo one question because I be one MP. They quote and say, I don't know if I want to show. He say he advised because of his parliamentary background. He advised say for pass this particular amendment here, he forgets 99.99. Sorry, 99.33. That is the ruling party. Actually, we forget that before the amendment passed. But I don't know if the entrenched clause suppose forget that number they on a simple majority vote. You know, because a little bit confusing because the last time we the pastor force amendment, whatever pastor force, sorry, for approve that electoral commissioner with it right now, APC the walkout. So people that they suspect is on them. It's the second time back. There is a possibility to say APC go walk out if they not get majority votes. So if they not get if SLP get majority votes, we go against the policy or the advice of the tripartite committee. Sorry, the international committee will come and mediate between the SLP government, APC, and Samoa Kamara, basically. So this time they walk out, it will be a shame, you know, because you know say what to make this thing they go on. So the first they start where they go on right now, so because the how you call themselves the moral guarantor, the put pressure say they for pass this resolution we did through. So this amendment we deal with elections 2 years before the election take place. They look credible. They not be 6 months before the election take place. I think they decide for Russia before the end of this year. So there is a possibility to say they go pass this bill because APC under pressure now to make them pass the amendment here before 2 years. The other amendment they go do now. They get time to do before the election or after the election, after the 2020 election. That name is suspect. But I want to know if that entrenched clause. Somebody say entrenched clause, but constitution they go for always bring them back. But I don't know, Mr. Mengo, so you correct me, sir. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Okay. Before I answer you, right? Because this thing is I'll therefore explain to people them. Because when it comes to this, as I say, me and a person where I believe in evidence. I even contact Parliament. I contact people that when a senior member of Parliament, so I know can misinform the public. Right? And I stand by what I say. Let's start with how the controversy starts. If the control room can play within Honorable Geva will be say. I want to take them from there, then I will take people through.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I stand here, I will say, as they call them in America, as a professor of law that lectures constitutional law. And the one who has a PhD in law, Dr. Emmanuel Safabula, is here, will agree with me or not. It is my view, and I will opine, that it is only entrenched clauses that calls for a 2/3 majority. Entrenched clauses. I ask anybody to challenge me either in the Supreme Court or with testimony. And when you come down to subsection 7, it reads, no act of parliament shall be deemed to be amended, add or repeal or in any way alter any of the provisions of this constitution unless it is done in express term. That provision made reference to the constitution, but 108 is making specific reference to this section, and when it says this section, it is making reference to section 108, and it had highlighted all the provisions in the constitution that are entrance clauses with unique procedure as to how you amend it. One of that unique provision is you cannot amend an entrance clause without a 2/3 majority, and second reading you cannot amend it without 2/3 majority at third reading, and you cannot amend it without going to referendum or without having the signature of the speaker. The procedure is there. This can be a legal academic argument. I have the Solicitor General here present. I have my lecturer in drafting at the law school here present. I trigger that debate today, that legal debate. That when it is a non-entrant clause, you don't need a 2/3 majority, because this has been the vote in this house for the longest of time. Since the 5th Parliament down to the 6th Parliament, we hold the view that if you want to amend even a non-entrant clause, you must have a 2/3 majority. I want to say, as a lecturer of constitution and law, that is not the case. So, for example, let us assume, yes, it is my position. It is my position that if the provision is a non-entrant provision, you don't need a 2/3 majority, you only need a simple majority. For example, if this bill had in section 85 and 87 that are entrant clauses, there would have been no need for a 2/3 majority. Because the bill has entrant clauses, yes, there is a provision for us to go through all of those procedures as laid down in section 108 subsection 2. Because if we don't get it right, then as a people, we will continue applying the wrong procedure, the wrong law. That the wrong thing has been done over years does not mean it cannot be corrected. Right from my 5th form days, I was taught that when the constitution, when the provision is a non-entrant provision, it's a simple majority. Mr. Emmanuel Gaima here taught me government at 640.
By clause.
So I have provoked that argument. I know Supreme Court judges to be listening.
Okay, now, Honorable Gevau, with due respect to you, sir, you call yourself a constitutional expert, you're a professor of law, but the Constitution is written in the English language, and it's very clear, and I'll come to the caller we talk about that 99.333, and I will explain for now. Section 108 of the Constitution, right? The heading on the side says, alterations of this Constitution. So 108(2)B, it says a bill for an act of parliament under this section shall not be passed by parliament unless, which have been on talk about, before the first reading of the bill in parliament, the text of the bill is published in at least 2 issues of the Gazette. That happened, provided that not less than 9 days shall elapse between the first and the second. That went through. And he said the bill is supported on the second and third reading by votes of no less than 2/3 of the members of parliament. That is what he says. Right?
It did not differentiate between entrenched clause bill or
no. Let continue.
Okay. It just said the bills.
Then he
Okay.
said a bill for an act or a bill of parliament enacting a new constitution or altering any of the following provision of this constitution, that is to say, now that is where it deals with entrenched clause, right? It talks about this section, which means section 108 of itself is an entrenched clause, right? So that interpretation where Mr. Guevara is flawed, because it clearly says the second reading, you forget votes of no less than 2/3 majority. Then 2 sections and then at the bill when an entrenched clause again. When a section 85 and 87 of the Constitution. Then they deal with the duration of parliament, which is every 5 years, where they want change. Then the dates for election, that fixed dates. Because if you say November, and the existing constitution say parliament for done after 5 years, right? But then give provision we can delay no more than 90 days. So if we've been getting last election in June, 90 days now 3 months, right? If you want to get a fixed date in November, it's more than 3 months. So that's an entrenched clause. Also, you have to pass them by 2/3 majority, and in addition, you have to go to a referendum. I'm going to explain them. Now, the caller talk about the 99.333, right? How we get that number there? 2/3 majority of members of parliament. You know, say members in parliament. Because now that they do under the period.
You know, say members present in parliament.
No, it said members of parliament.
Of parliament, yeah.
Yeah. Let read them back. Yeah. A bill is supported on the second and third reading by votes of not less than 2/3 of the members of parliament. Who are the members of the parliament? Let me tell you the composition now. SLPP get 81 members, right? You add 14 paramount chiefs, right? Let's check just the members of parliament before we go to the paramount chief. SLPP get 81 members, APC get 54. 81 and 54, now 135, no, so?
Yes.
Then if you add the 14 paramount chief, right? Now 149. So if you do the maths, 2/3 of 149 is 99.33333. Right? So if you take out 99, if you take out 99 members of parliament, it is less than 2/3. So what you do, you go forward and round up to the nearest whole number, which is 100 members. So what it means, 100 members then get for votes for let the bill go to the second reading. That is what it means, right? And if a member is not president, it is counted as a no vote. Because in order there for vote, they no counter.
And they do they allow proxy voting? I don't think so.
That is not allowed. So what it means now, make sure when they make the announcement, they say let the party make sure say all of the members in the parliament. So that's where the 2/3 come in.
I think that's clear. That's very well said. But with respect, can you just go over the Honorable Guevara's interpretation? Because from what you have said...
Let me tell you where Honorable Guevara's interpretation is flawed.
Hold one second for me. Because I'm trying to inject my comprehension from what you said. So based upon what you have said, all bills for it to become an act will entail 2/3 majority of members of parliament. Am I right?
Not all constitutional bills.
All constitutional bills.
Now, for it to go through the 2 stages, right? When they're supposed to vote, the second reading, when after the debate, then the third reading, when I need to finalize everything before it go for presidential assent. So now twice it get forget that 2/3 majority there.
Of members of parliament.
Of members of parliament.
Okay. Then the second step is if it's going to involve an entrenched clause, in addition to the 2/3, a referendum would be necessary.
Yes. And how, right. Let me explain how you go about the referendum, because there's laws in the Constitution of how you deal with referendum. So for a referendum, it's simply an election. Now the name different, right?
Yeah.
It means you're going to the people. Referendum, you start from refer. You refer the matter to the people, right? So if na entrenched clause, first of all, you get forget a referendum bill. That's another bill. And that referendum bill there is subject to 2/3. And what's in the bill there about? It will include all those clauses which are entrenched clause, right? It tell you why you want change them, and what you want change, and what you go to the people them. In a referendum, now 2 things, you either be yes or no. And for if we go through, half of the people that were registered voters and get for votes in that referendum day, and 2/3 of the one that will vote for say yes. So now additional requirement. But again, like go to Usai, Mr. Greville make mistake. He say when he referred to the 2/3, he talk about this section of the bill, right? He mentioned the word section, but section 108 they refer to. Section 108 is an entrenched clause in itself. So it is part of the Constitution. Then when you go to 7, it says no act of Parliament shall be deemed to amend, add or repeal or in other way alter any provision of this Constitution unless it does so in express term. So they say one side and say Constitution, the other side would say section. The logical answer, a section of a Constitution, is it not the Constitution?
It is the Constitution.
Well, exactly, sir. I am not a constitutional lawyer, but I am well versed in the rules and procedures of Parliament. So that is where it is.
And I think it answers all the questions that anyone might have, because we cannot get it in much better than we. I mean, you're saying it. I'm sure we are all trying to learn from it, ask questions. But I hope Representative Jivao will see this with all due respect. And again, I would suggest to the rep, if he disagrees, he is welcome to come on board at another time. Notify we network, say he won't come for take a position or dispute which you say, and then the interpretation of then technical issues then they will, because simply he's saying bills can be passed without 2/3 unless it's entrenched. That's what I understand him to be saying.
Now, ordinary bills, where can be a private member bill, a bill to deal with a particular ministry or departmental agency, or a bill to do with, like the other bill, let me give you now, like the other one where the Tripartite report calls for. Amendment of Public Elections Act, right? You don't need 2/3 majority, yeah? Amendment of Political Act, you don't need 2/3 majority. It needs the majority vote. So in other words, at the day when they vote, let's say for instance, if you get 100 members in a parliament, right? If 51 person pass that vote day, it means that 51 Boku pass 49. So that vote will be carried. But when it comes to constitutional amendment, it is a different thing. It said 2/3 of members of parliament. You know, say 2/3 of members in parliament. In parliament means you get to be present at the day. That was what they used when the speaker interprets for the laterals in Leone. That's why people they now make this distinction. Say with this one now, let's give an example, because there's always precedent, Mr. Shillon. Even the very speaker, when he was being appointed, if you go to look at how they appoint speaker, you can't forget 2/3 of the members of parliament for approved speaker in the first reading, first vote. If you not get them, it go to the second term. Again, 2/3 of members. Because this speaker, when they appoint them, they voted 3 times until they go to a majority, simple majority. So that's what it means. But now, law come to the final, the beast, the elephant in the room, where the speaker making ruling. And then they seek clarification from parliament, because it deals with that 2/3 majority.
One more interruption. May I take a call? There's a caller on the line. Hello,
Okay.
caller. Which name your name? Where side you call from?
Yeah, Mr. Shillon. Yeah, this thing was very disturbing to me when Givao, MP, Honorable Givao, raised this particular point. And Givao, he was one of the earliest debaters there in favor of the bench or the ruling party. Timbo proceeded him. I don't know why Timbo not really emphasized with him, the co-panelists they talk. It was very disturbing. In the next thing, these people they agree somewhere before they came out. Because even when the minority leader in the close in speech, those are the things that if we emphasize. I mean, they call it debate, parliamentary debate. If for don't come with the panelists they talk, but then me I not say anybody address Givao on that particular thing where say the constitution should be passed, and church clause, it should pass on simple majority. That was very disturbing to me, and I want to ask that question. It's like APC members technically they agree because nobody is normal man that thing home. That was disturbing. When I thank you for
Okay, caller, just 1 minute. Mr. Shillon, just
let him finish. Let him finish. Please, let him finish,
okay,
Mr.
because while you read waiting at Tagbo say. Okay, go ahead, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's I don't know, sir. It was disturbing to me when APC not come challenge give out on that particular thing when he quoted, and the left arm like that. Like that issue. It was very disturbing to me throughout the debate.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mengot wants me to read some thing that Mr. Kagbo had said in Parliament. Let me remind, I'm quoting Mr. Kagbo now. Let me remind the House that anything less than 99.33 is less than 2/3 and cannot pass any amendments. So, Mr. Mengot, elaborate on that for us.
Yes, that was what I was saying. Because that 99.33,
you got to round it up to a full figure.
It's 2/3 of 149. So even if 99 votes, 99 is less than 99.33. So you go to the nearest one when 100. That was what he was saying. And he made that point. So now, because we already say, let me say 2/3 majority, right? Now listen to the final one, how the speaker make a ruling. We've been given the opportunity for seek clarification from Parliament and from a leading lawyer. And I will explain to family and waiting and they say. So
Also intend to commit into legislative
Committee stage first, each one for the 3 hours.
Yes. Any seconder?
Yeah. That is the go committee stage.
Any seconder?
Yes,
All those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, Mr. Minister, you may leave. Mr. Minister, you may leave. Yes, please confirm it. Yes, proceed.
Motion moved by the leader of government business and seconded by the leader of the opposition has been carried.
Yes, Mr. Minister, you may leave. Honorable members, this sitting is adjourned to.
Mr. Speaker, sorry.
What is it today?
Mr. Speaker, I know people want to take an adjournment, but some honorable members still have university and they have exams on Monday. So I want to add that all those.
Okay, now waiting happy now. In a member, let people and get on this behind the mind. Then say for let go through the second reading, again forget 2/3 majority. Not so? We don't cut them figures in. How do you get that 2/3 majority? Now by voting. Right. But Salion, when I asked for clarification, said, but how in a not vote? In a go vote by affirmation. Waiting a vote by affirmation. Vote by affirmation, now where the speaker can say, he put a motion, then he say, as many as agree say aye, then they all go alla aye. To the contrary, no, then they say no, if in a small voice, then he go say the ayes have it. So with that system of voting, that affirmative voting, how can you determine whether 2/3 people support the bill?
There's no way. There's no way.
I sought clarification, right? And what I was told that their own procedure in a parliament, when such happens, they go start first with the affirmation bill, the affirmation voting. But if one member of parliament had objected, then the speaker would call what you call a division. Why then call it a division? And like for say, there is controversy, we need to ascertain the figures. And when they call the division, members then they vote individually. But since they not call a division and nobody not move that motion there, and I believe say people let me not tired, they not been waiting to happen, it means the bill sailed through the second reading without a vote required under a division. It sailed through an affirmative vote. And that is a dangerous precedent, in my view.
Very much so. I don't think it's right. I don't think procedurally that is right. That is violative of the Constitution.
Because it said, as many as agreed say aye, say aye. Then it said now, the motion is carried, we are going to the committee stage. So do you want to comment then? I will now come, because then they're almost left. We got about 10 minutes left. We'll give people a 10 minutes. Because I want to explain to people them waiting for expect tomorrow. Because it's very important.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, when the bill don't pass in second reading, according to the standing order, now Parliament, it is now Parliament get two options. The Speaker can move that the bill goes to a committee of the whole House, which is what they are going to do tomorrow. What is the committee of the whole house? It means every member of parliament now form a committee. So once they now form the committee, now that tended and they cover the mess, then the people and they pull their wig. Right? Because the mess, now that thick way the sergeant at arms can hold, where give authority say parliament is in sitting. So when they go into that committee stage, right, then they will start again with the Attorney General and Minister of Justice being there, right, for respond to issues that were raised in the bill. So this time, they have to examine the bill line by line, clause by clause. So the first thing they get for do, then two sections we deal with section 85 of the Constitution and section 87 of the Constitution with an entrenched clause. Whether they relate to clauses 16, 15 and 16 of the bill, when a duration of parliament and the time for the general election, then get for expunge. What do they mean by expunge? Then they pull and put on one side. Because they can't deal with them, the entrenched clause. They're not going to even vote on themselves.
He called for a referendum.
Yeah. He called for a referendum.
Yeah.
Then the next, what they will do now, they'll begin to take them clause here one by one, examine them. Then what will happen again? Let's say we take the controversial clause of the PR system where they don't agree. Right? If they not come to a compromise, then for let the amendment go through, they will have to put it to a vote. And this time they must call a division, not to affirmative vote. The division means say they go for vote, make sure say 2/3 of the members of parliament agree for PR system. If not, it would not be carried. And so then they deal with each of the clauses in the bill. So that's what we should expect tomorrow. Right. But then, in my view, what we would expect the parliamentarian for do, because the committee of the House not go able to examine them position paper then. So somebody for move a motion for let this bill be sent to the legislative committee. It is very important. Why you they send and go to the legislative committee? What then they go do that thing? Then they go consider all the amendments the way they approve. Then another thing, then they consider the position papers then. Because you cannot remove them from the scrutiny process. And the legislative committee is made up of 16 members of parliament. And that is chaired by Honorable Mary Conte. So then we go look and in detail, come back to parliament and report to parliament. Parliament debates that report there. So say they agree before it go to the third reading. Because in the third reading, there is no debate. It's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And then for that third reading again, it needs another 2/3 majority. And this time they forget the division. So if they get a 2/3 majority now, then it can go for presidential assent. I don't know if we'll clarify that, but that is what we are expecting.
Well, what that tells me, we have some good stuff in the Constitution if only we can follow them. You know,
exactly.
There are contents in the Constitution that give we some safeguards. But it looks like the way we go about it, sometimes we tend to shortcut the process. And there has to be a process by which some of them shortcut here can be objected to, just like when you get the division, as you refer to. I think responsibly, someone from the opposition should have stood up and raised an objection. I think. So I'm not blaming the ruling party, but I'm blaming the opposition in terms of letting that slide through the vote by affirmation without saying, no. Affirmation doesn't clearly tell us whether we had 2/3 or we had 99.3. We have you get to do actual vote counts. So I think these are the things that I am asking that we caution about, and all we parliamentarians then fit to the fire, opposition or not, And so that's just a side comment. And the last time you mentioned, say, position papers were never, ever submitted by the 14 political registered parties who will get in Sierra Leone, except one, the Unity Party. Not even the APC, not the SLPP, even registered a position paper. So, what is there?
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. It come back, let's deal with the APC and SLPP.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What they did, instead of submitting a position paper, you understand? Mm-hmm. They went into what they call a technical committee, right? Which that was recommended by the AG, not a parliamentary ruling, right? So then go to that technical committee there, then go look at all the clauses. According to some MP, them it's on record, and especially the former clerk of parliament, he said in Dede, it is on record. I'm not making it up. When he was on interview, he said then go decide how we can deal with the bill them during the debates, and then we take an oath of secrecy. What in that mean? Means they not for talk anything what they intend for do. Pass when they can at the ballet. Now the oath. So when they can now, we can listen definitely during the debate where they get accusation and counter accusation. Because on the SLPP side, they say, in an MP them, in another listen to what in a leader say, what we don't go talk, what in a leader they instruct, in a can't tell we different now. We can't talk what we leader, then tell we for can do in a parliament. Now the leader then for tell them what people can do, or now the people the way elects them. That is where, again, we are talking about the dangers of this PR system. Because the PR system are the party you owe allegiance to, not to the people. So my left and this.
I think that is very well stated, and that's food for thought. You see, one of the flaws down there of the system, the people are not as represented as they should be, or as we think they are. So the allegiance is more to the party than to the people and the country. So I'll leave it there myself. And now again, one last thing, anyone who disagrees, please not try to do your disagreement in disguise. You are welcome to it. But if you feel as emotionally attached as we do, thinking about we all get limited amount of time on this earth, and then laws that will pass, not of our party them and take advantage of other people. Now for the future, well, not to every generation for candidates to come and revamp a constitution. So if you think like we think, please come on board, send in inquiries, send in disagreement, take a position and tell us we're wrong and where we're wrong and where the parliament is handling things the way they should. The country belongs to all of us. So it is with that frame of mind that we're asking people, because this attachment to party, and we're talking about two parties that have a lengthy record of, unfitness, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see what the hesitancy is. That people who disagree with us, like I would strongly encourage Professor Givao for come on board or send in a written disagreement. We will read them, we will talk them. So we need that kind of a contribution there, but don't stand on the sidelines and let things happen and try to blame others. That's all we're saying. We're not perfect, but I mean, all of you will know Mr. Mengot is a very able man. So he knows what he's talking about. In America, we say he knows his stuff. So with that said, good night, everyone. We thank you for listening, and please tune in next week.
Okay, fumble them. We're telling a thank you. And let me make one more point. Waiting the speaker do, it do according to the guidance we get and the advice we get from both sides of the divide. Because like that caller we come, we say, before he make that ruling for give timeless speech, he talk to the two sides, the referee them. But at times, not to all things we do as a matter of convenience or expediency to be right or correct. Yeah. So that is the point I want to make. And I stand corrected for anything we utter Naya, because for a pensioner like me, for day 14 hours, I'm not paid for this. Because I want to come on air and I want to misinterpret or misinform the people then. Now make sure even when they get the judgment, I went out to the highest level in parliament. It is on record to ask them to give me a clarification, and I'm satisfied with the clarification. We first then start with the affirmative vote, and they say yes. But if somebody be object, we will call a division. But since nobody no object, it was legal what they did. So with that, I tell you now, thank you for listening to me. We don't talk enough. We will continue for informing and educating about this process. So I wish you all a very good week and a safe week for that matter. Until we meet again, now me, Victor Akumengo, they say Tata from sunny Surrey. We don't enjoy over 28 degrees all in this year. So in a not jealous way from that part of the world. Thank you very much and good night.
Mama Salon, we like you.
Welcome to VOS Social Media Review, your weekly platform for insightful discussion, bold analysis, and the stories shaping our society. Join lawyer Shilon and engineer Mengot every Sunday at 8 p.m. Sierra Leone time, streaming live on all VOS social media platforms. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay connected with VOS.
Salon, I will let me salon.